Susie Brown,
All right, can you spell it for me?
SUSIEBROWN.
Awesome.
Maybe the easiest name you've ever had.
Most definitely.
I know, right?
That Brown is pretty.
All right.
So how do you pronounce your maiden name? Is it Code or
Code.
Okay.
Rhymes with toad.
now that I mean if you change out the C, at least you didn't have Bickerman. I'm telling you. You order a pizza. Did you say Dickerman?
Oh.
No, I did not. No, I did not.
Okay.
All right, you're rolling.
All right. So the first question I have for you is, the day you found out that you did have breast cancer, what was that like? How did it make you feel?
Well, the day we discovered my lump, it was like electrical currents were going through my whole body. And I thought it was a seam on my pajama pocket. And I got up and I realized there was no seam there. And so I knew the next morning I would go straight to the doctor. And the first doctor I went to didn't think it was anything to worry about, said I could wait a month. And I said no, I want to go get this checked out right away. So I went to Susan G. Komen, and right away I could tell things were different from when I'd gone and had normal ones, how the tech looked at me, and I had to wait, and then I had to go to a different room. I couldn't have my husband with me, and I was just so afraid. The year before, I had watched my daughter get a biopsy. Hers was benign, and she was only 17. So that actually helped me to know what I was going through, and thought, well, she did it at 17. I can do this at my age. But then when they were finished, they asked my husband to come into a room right near the entrance. And right away, it was like all bad news. And you could tell by the look on the doctor's face, it was awful. So I think I was crying. I think I was in shock. And yet, on the other hand, I think I kind of knew it. I don't know.
Now, you mentioned going to Komen. Obviously, they helped diagnose you, but what have they done for you, through the process? How did they help with your care? How did they help with emotional support, too?
Okay, well, they got me my diagnosis and sent me to the proper doctors, and they have nurse navigators, and they will call you, and they will see how you're doing, and if you have a problem, they'll work on it for you. I was in such a tender, vulnerable state at that time that I would just say, I'm okay. And I was so afraid, and it made me withdraw from other people. It doesn't do that to everyone, but that is a common result, or I don't know, common way to response. And then I did my first race for the cure, and that's with the Susan G. Komen Memorial Affiliate. And that's where I found my encouragement and my love and my support, and made other friends who were survivors. And one of the ladies started a Komen Cafe, a support group. And all the staff there, they're just wonderful people, and they cared about me. And I'm like, why do they care about me? There's so many other people to care about. Why am I significant? But they treat everyone that way.
That's awesome. How many, I know you've been, through this for 5 years now.
Right.
How many races have you been in?
So I've been going to races my whole life, since they've been having races, and I lived in Peoria area. And they always put a terrible lump in my throat before I ever had breast cancer. And it was always one of my worst fears. I don't know why. And I took my girls, and we always went. And then I would be depressed for all of Mother's Day weekend, because it just really hit me hard. And so then I thought, when I went to my first race as a survivor, I thought it would be beyond awful. And it was very uplifting and touching, and I felt very loved.
That's awesome. I know you have your own team.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll just have you say your team name and maybe how many members you have, and that you've been doing, fundraising, and that you do it because of what reason?
Okay. My team for the Susan G. Komen Race for the Cure is Team Sweet Potatoes, or Patatas, however you would like to say it is fine. And as far as how many members, every year is different. And so it just depends. There's donations and there's also registering to walk, two different things. So I can't really say a number of how many. And when you think of all the people that give, your team gets bigger than the people that actually walk, which is very nice. And the reason I do this, it's become my passion. And two things that I had going on with me, my tumor was hormone positive, and it was HER2/neu, which these are like foreign words when you first start out, and that's another thing that's so scary. You don't understand anything. But Susan G. Komen was part of the research on both of those traits of the cancer, and I wouldn't be here if it weren't for that specific research. So I feel as though they saved my life. And I give back because I have 3 daughters, now a granddaughter. And I just shudder to think. I asked my counselor, what would I do if one of my daughters ever had to go through this? And she said, a part of your heart would die. And I thought, that's it. That's what would happen. And I can't imagine it. That's unthinkable to me. So that's why I do it.
Unfortunately, every day, there's a woman right now who's being told the same thing you were.
Mm-hmm.
If you could sit down with her just for a moment and say something to her real quick, what would it be?
That's a hard one because it's weird. You'd think that someone who's been through it would know what to say, but the person receiving what you say, everyone is so different. So I would just hug her and just be there with her. And then if she asked me questions, I'd try to answer, and I'd tell her I would pray for her. And just that I'm so sorry. I really get devastated every time someone I know is diagnosed
with cancer at all.
And I am devastated for them, not myself, but it's because of what I've been through.
I know you have a lot of faith with God. Was he able to get you through the tough times? I
wouldn't breathe without my relationship with Christ. I wouldn't be here. I was born with anxiety, I think, and that's something I've tried to work on, but then when I got breast cancer, I think God sometimes allows you to have the thing that's going to refine your heart the most. And so I've had to learn to live my life with a cloud of fear hanging over my head. And for the first year, every morning I woke up and I was upset and my heart was heavy. And then I'd wake up all the way and I'd realize why. And I'd realize, oh, I have cancer. I wish this was a bad dream and it would go away. But now I wake up, my feet hit the floor, and I'm ready to go. And if I dwell on it, I've learned to make my thoughts go somewhere else and refocus. And I've decided I'm not going to live my life with fear, and I don't believe I do. And I'm so thankful for that. That is, for me, a really big deal. And when I see others that have been diagnosed living their lives with fear, I try to explain to them, this is a ways down the road, not initially, that there really is a choice. But when you're overtaken with fear, that's hard to believe.
Well, I think we're good. There's several times I'm like, oh, there's my out. Ooh, there's my out. Ooh, there's my out. Cool. Yeah, that's it.
Was it okay?
Oh, it was great.
I fumbled over some of my words, but that's from my chemo brain. I can't pull.
I fumbled